Ancient humans should have been wiped out in minutes because the monsters hunting them weren't just bigger, they were designed to kill us. But somehow, the weakest species on Earth started taking down the deadliest beasts alive. How? Picture this: a world with no cities, no steel, no weapons, no backup, just darkness, cold wind, and things hiding in the shadows that wanted you gone. Because before humans ruled the planet, we were nothing. The night didn't scare us. The night hunted us. Ancient humans walked across continents crawling with creatures so powerful, they didn't just kill you, they removed you from the story. The Smilodon, the real saber-tooth, not the friendly museum version, the one built like a tank, waiting in tall grass, ready to explode forward and silence a human before they could even breathe. The dire wolf, not a dog, not a pet, but a 150-pound war machine. A predator that attacked in perfect formation, packs moving like trained soldiers driving prey exactly where they wanted. The short-faced bear, a nightmare that stood higher than any man, ran faster than your fastest horse, and crushed bones with a single swipe. If it saw you, you had seconds, maybe less. And humans? Tiny, slow, breakable, no claws, no fangs, no thick fur, no natural armor, just brittle bones, soft skin, and fear that never left. Every step outside a cave was a coin toss between life and death. Every hunt felt like a suicide attempt. Every sunrise felt like a victory. Because the predators weren't rare. They were everywhere, glowing eyes watching from the dark. Hot breath behind you that you were too scared to turn toward. Footsteps circling you, closer and closer, until you realized you were not a hunter. You were inventory, measured, selected, approved. Humans weren't at the bottom of the food chain. They were hanging from it by a thread. And yet, somehow, in a world designed to erase them, humans didn't disappear. They adapted, they multiplied, they pushed back, until one day, the hunted became the hunters. But the real question is, how? How did a weak, fragile species defeat beasts perfectly engineered to destroy them? They were faster. They were stronger. They had claws sharper than knives, jaws that could crush skulls, and senses so sharp they could smell fear before you moved an inch. Humans? Slow, weak, a walking bag of meat compared to the monsters ruling the world. Every forest, every riverbank, every piece of land belonged to creatures designed by nature itself to dominate the food chain. Humans weren't just the underdogs, they were the bottom rung nobody even noticed. Yet something impossible happened. The creatures built to kill us started disappearing. Not overnight, but slowly, silently. Generation by generation, the balance of power shifted. Predators that ruled for millions of years started falling to a species that barely survived a cold night. How? What changed? What did humans discover that flipped the entire planet upside down? And that brings us to the question that rewrites everything we think we know about ancient history. How did humans defeat beasts that should have wiped us out instantly? Before humans rose, the world belonged to giants, predators so perfectly engineered for violence. They were nature's final draft. Smilodons didn't chase. They waited. Silent, invisible, frozen like statues until the exact second a human walked too close. One leap, one bite, and a human life ended before any scream could escape. Dire wolves weren't just wolves. They were strategists, pack hunters with discipline, formation, and precision. They didn't attack. They surrounded, circling slowly, tightening the ring until the human in the center realized there was no escape. The short-faced bear? That thing wasn't an animal. It was a nightmare molded into muscle, taller than any man, heavier than any beast humans had ever seen, fast enough to outrun horses, strong enough to flip boulders, and hungry enough to challenge anything it saw breathing. And humans? Just imagine them for a moment, 5 feet tall, shivering in cold winds, bones fragile, skin exposed, no claws, no armor, no speed, and no natural weapon strong enough to pierce even the hide of these monsters. Their eyes weren't sharp. Their muscles weren't strong. Their bodies weren't built for killing. They were built for dying. Even nature itself seemed against them. Ruthless climates, brutal winters, scorching heat, diseases, starvation. Everything in the environment screamed one message: you do not belong here. Every other predator was born ready. Humans were born unfinished. A baby deer can walk minutes after birth. A human baby can't even lift its own head. A tiger hunts alone. One human alone? Guaranteed death. Even when humans grew up, their bodies were still no match for the monsters surrounding them. In every comparison, strength, speed, senses, power, humans were at the bottom, the absolute bottom. And yet, in a world where everything was against them, something began to happen that no predator expected. Humans didn't run. They didn't hide. They didn't go extinct. They began to push back. Not with muscle, not with size, not with strength, but with something far more dangerous, something invisible, something no beast could evolve, a mind that refused to accept the rules, a mind that looked at a predator 10 times stronger and thought, I can beat this. But the question is, what changed? What was the shift that turned prey into planet shapers? But then, something changed. Something tiny at first, almost invisible. A shift so small that no predator noticed, until it was already too late. Humans stopped reacting and started thinking. For the first time, prey didn't run the moment a predator appeared. Instead, they watched, they observed, they learned. A Smilodon's ambush pattern, a dire wolf pack's timing, a giant bear's territory lines. Humans began to understand the monsters, not as gods, not as unstoppable forces, but as creatures with weaknesses. And then came the moment everything flipped. A human picked up a branch, not as firewood, not as a walking stick, but as an idea. A simple piece of wood became the first extension of the human mind. The first weapon that said, your claws aren't the only claws. Predators attacked with muscle. Humans attacked with distance. Predators hunted with instinct. Humans hunted with planning. Predators relied on strength. Humans relied on something new, coordination. One human was weak. 10 humans moving like one organism. That was a new kind of predator, a predator the world had never seen. And soon, every beast realized the truth. They weren't fighting humans anymore. They were fighting human intelligence, multiplied by teamwork. The turning point wasn't a weapon. It wasn't fire. It wasn't strength. It was the moment humans realized, we can beat anything if we beat it together. And from that moment on, every monster on Earth had a countdown. The real reason humans took down creatures built to kill us comes down to 3 brutal advantages. Advantages no animal on Earth could ever evolve. 1. Distance equals power. Every predator had one rule: kill what you can reach. Humans broke that rule. The moment a stick became a spear, and a spear became a throwing spear, and eventually a spear became a projectile. Predators realized something terrifying. Humans could kill from far away. A Smilodon had to leap. A bear had to charge. A wolf had to get close. Humans? They could stand 20 feet back and end the fight before it even started. Claws were useless. Teeth were useless. Strength meant nothing. Distance turned the weakest species into the deadliest. 2. Teamwork equals superpower. A lion hunts in a group. Wolves hunt in a pack. But humans? They coordinated like a living machine. One group flushed prey out. Another trapped it. Another attacked from a safe direction. It wasn't chaos. It was strategy. Every human played a role. The distractor, the thrower, the finisher, the scout. This wasn't a hunt. This was an organized takedown. Predators fought alone. Humans fought like an army. 3. Endurance equals the unfair advantage. The final secret. The one that animals never understood. Humans could run forever. Not fast, but long. Longer than any predator alive. They didn't chase the beast. They chased its breath. Slow, steady, relentless. Until the strongest predators, giant, terrifying, unstoppable, collapsed from exhaustion. And at that moment, humans stepped in. The battle wasn't strength versus strength. It was patience versus panic. And humans won every time. In the end, it wasn't strength that saved humans. It wasn't speed. It wasn't size. It was something far more dangerous. A mind that refused to accept fear as the final story. While every predator relied on instinct, humans relied on imagination. They looked at a spear and imagined something sharper. They looked at fire and imagined something bigger. They looked at danger and imagined a way to survive it. And slowly, generation by generation, the beasts built to kill us began to fall, not because humans fought harder, but because humans fought smarter. Predators ruled with power. Humans ruled with ideas. That's how a species with no claws, no fangs, no armor, took down monsters that should have erased us instantly. That's how ancient humans, cold, hungry, terrified, became the most dominant force the planet had ever seen. And here's the truth most people never hear. Humans didn't win because they were the strongest. Humans won because they never stopped learning, never stopped adapting, never stopped imagining. That is how we took down beasts built perfectly to kill us. But here's the real twist. Those giant predators, those monsters that ruled Earth long before us, they didn't just disappear because of weapons or intelligence or teamwork. There's one more secret, the most shocking part of all, the final piece of the puzzle scientists uncovered just recently, a discovery that changes everything we thought we knew about the ancient world, a discovery that explains why the strongest creatures vanished and why humans now stand alone at the top. But that is for another story, because next time, we reveal the truth behind the final battle between humans and the last Ice Age giants, and how one moment decided the future of the entire world.